Hi everyone, welcome to my chemistry lecture series that I'm going to be holding here. We're going to be getting a general grasp on the fundamentals of chemistry and strictly a general chemistry kind of background. So if you follow this series, whether you're self-studying in college, in high school, you're going to get an understanding relative to that of an AP chemistry student or a college general chemistry freshman. So why am I doing this? Well, I think that YouTube is such a fascinating place for us to learn. It's a very amazing place for information. One such thing that's lacking is sustenance lectures of chemistry. Now, a lot of them will go fast. They'll just give you the basic understanding, but hopefully here I can make things feel a little more personal in said lecture series. So we're going to start from a very simple point. We're going to start with, what are even atoms? Even before that, what is science? What's the scientific method? How can we understand things? The way I'm going to run this, basically, it's going to be a 20 to 1 hour lecture, and then you're going to get some practice problems that I'll do with you, just to make sure that you grasp the concept. Now, our textbook is going to be OpenStax Chemistry 2E. You can type it in on Google. It's open source. It's completely free. It's a great textbook. Now, feel free to read it before. I'm basically going to just go through that textbook and not read, but give my own explanation for the things that it's trying to say, because sometimes these things are confusing and not everyone is at the level that this textbook is really at. There are a few prerequisites, you could say. One of them is just going to be a general grasp of algebra. Like if I gave you, for example, x plus 3 equals 2, what's x equal to, right? You would say, well, minus 3x is equal to -1. If you can solve that, you're pretty much good. Substitutions, right? So if I say A is equal to BC, and let's say, for example, I needed to insert this variable A somewhere as it relates to BC. So let's say DE equals BC. Well, then you could also write that DE equals A. So as long as you understand those general algebraic concepts and manipulations and stuff, it will be great. But I'm going to make a big emphasis on this because my lectures are going to be long. I'm a yapper by nature, but I want to make sure that everyone understands. And one way I'm going to do that is really tone in on the math, because when I first learned in AP chemistry, the fundamentals of chemistry, I was not very good at math. In fact, I was like Algebra 2, 80% scorer. Now, of course, I've taken lots of calculus and I have a math whiz brain. Well, that's cocky, I shouldn't say that, but I have a knack for math, I should say. And this stuff was maybe a little difficult for me back then. Foiling and all that. Oh, another thing that you might want to know is like x plus 3 squared, right? Make sure that you can FOIL these out into a full expression, maybe like x squared plus, what would that be, 6x plus 9 equals, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so make sure that you can do some basic algebra. If you're like a middle schooler or something, maybe you haven't had algebra yet. At least for my school, we didn't. So make sure you have that fundamental concept. But one thing I want to end with is kind of a little bit of motivation, so to speak, right? The beauty of chemistry resides in the fact that we are all chemistry. If you've ever, I remember, and I'll bring this story up again. When I was a kid, I had two fundamental questions. One, where do we come from? Okay, what are we? Why are we different than inanimate objects, right? Another thing I wondered is, and this is going to sound weird, I was in the car one time and I saw a cow and I said, well, if you cut a cow in half, what do you get? And then, of course, I said half a cow. If you cut that in half, what do you get? Right? And I said a steak, which is not true. You just get cow mass. a fourth a cow. But then what if you cut that up a million times? What do you get? These are the kinds of thoughts I had as a kid. I've always wanted to know the answer, and understanding chemistry now will help you understand these things. In fact, it's atoms and quarks and stuff. It's really cool stuff. So let's get into the first lecture. We're going to be talking about the scientific method.